Welcome everyone back to Gold Derby. The 2024 Oscars are over. We can finish it off now, and with a little post slugfest, I want to talk about the winners, what the surprises were, what your favorite moments were. Overall, there were surprises, but not major surprises. We were talking. I think Gold Derby had every winner in first or second in our odds, so we did a pretty good job predicting. Marcus, what were your favorite moments for the night?
Well, I know everyone's gonna say I'm just Ken, so let me try to think of something else. I really liked a couple of the presenter duos, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito coming out, not as from the Twins movie, but because they were Batman villains. So completely random, but so funny. And then of course Michael Keaton in the audience playing along was great. Um, John Cena, that was really funny. There was another duo that I really loved, and I'm
Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling.
that's the one,
That
yes.
was that was I that was my favorite presenting duo.
Because I
That
mean,
was
the whole
pretty
year
great.
was about Barbenheimer, and they found like a new, fun, original way to talk about that phenomenon. So I guess those are my favorites. Oh, and then the Trump bit, like Donald Trump. Why didn't you wait till after the ceremony to give your review? You know Jimmy Kimmel's gonna read it and make fun of you.
Because he
Like,
probably wrote it. He probably wrote it 2 days before the ceremony started.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I thought Kimmel's opening monologue was okay, and then the Oscars had sort of a slow start, and then they got better as they went along. I thought
He
at the
built
end,
momentum
like
for sure.
yeah, at the end I thought that was a good show. It started off a little rocky and almost 10 minutes late, just FYI. Daniel, what was your favorite moments from the show?
I agree that it was a solid show overall. Like, it's not going to be one for like the history books as one of the all-time great Oscar shows, but I think it was pretty solid. To bring it down for a bit, my favorite moment was actually one of the more serious moments. Was Jonathan Glazer's speech for The Zone of Interest, winning Best International Feature. I thought that was the most meaningful of the night. We haven't heard a lot of people make political statements of that sort in this award season. I think there's been kind of like a chill in the air about it. So I was really happy to see him address the Israel Palestine of it all.
Yeah, I also like Mstislav, sure enough, from 20 Days in Mirapol. Um, that was powerful as well when he said he's probably the only director that wishes he didn't have to make that film. That was sort of a big statement. Tariq, our special guest experts, how did things go last night?
Okay, well, first of all, may I just say that I miss Bob Hope, and I miss Johnny Carson, and I miss Billy Crystal. I miss those hosts. And Jimmy Kimmel, he was fine, but his opening monologue, I'm sorry, some of the jokes fell short. The jokes about Christopher Nolan and Bradley Cooper and his mother, and Cillian Murphy, the silly Ann joke. I mean, come on, that was pretty juvenile, I think. Wouldn't you all agree that my opening monologue, and be honest, wasn't the material better than what was,
Oh, light years better. Yours.
I,
Why they
you
haven't
should have been the
hired you
host.
away by now, I don't know.
I don't understand why these people who write for the Oscars can't do a better job. And I guess it's because they don't know the material. They don't know the movies. I mean, the first joke that Jimmy Kimmel made was about Madam Web. And what he needs to do is make jokes about all the nominees, all the major nominated films, and put people at ease, because that's the best way to do it. Get people to laugh. And then, for example, make a joke about Bradley Cooper losing because it's the elephant in the room. They know he's going to lose. He can laugh about it. And then everyone starts to show feeling more comfortable and not so stressed out. So I think that he kind of missed the mark a bit there. So hopefully next year Jimmy Kimmel will, or whoever the host is, will let me write for them, and we'll have a much better opening monologue. So that's what I want to get in there. That the jokes could have been much better.
He was also the second host in one award season to bring up one of the Best Actor nominees' penis.
Right, exactly.
Very weird.
Right. Yeah, and by the way, if you have Paul Giamatti nominated at the Oscars, there is no reason not to do a Big Mama's House joke. I mean, come on, that was my favorite joke, the Big Mama's House joke. And, he missed, and hopefully next time when Paul Giamatti's nominated, I'll be hosting or writing, and I'll do Big Mama's House joke. So you heard it here first.
Well, I will give him credit for this. I think it's really difficult to walk that fine line where you're poking fun at the audience, but you still need the audience on your side. So I thought he walked that fine line successfully. Like he had the crowd like kind of rooting for him, but the material itself wasn't always, it lacked bite a lot of times. It wasn't always the best.
Another joke he said that really had me laughing came later in the ceremony when he was talking about the screenplays were coming up, and he goes, "At what age do you tell a screenplay it was adapted?"
That was a great,
Absolutely brilliant.
that's a great line. Just like having the talking about the Donald Trump tweet or whatever it was on Truth Social later on, and then saying, "Isn't it past your jail time?" Uh, was a brilliant line. No, I thought Jimmy was fine, although in his opening monologue talking about Gerard Depardieu and vomiting on eating his own vomit or something. I thought, well, what he should do next year, if he hosts next year, is just talk about everybody's penis for 5 minutes and then move on. We get that out.
I mean, Jimmy was fine. He himself has had better years hosting, so it's not like he's a bad host. He was still a good host. I would still be fine with him coming back. It just wasn't his best.
Yeah,
Um,
I
but
liked Jimmy. The joke he made about Michael Jackson's nose. I'm like, it's 2024. Are we still making nose jokes about Michael Jackson?
yeah, so do we all agree that I'm Just Ken was probably the highlight, at least energy wise?
Well, it's the greatest best song nomination production number in Oscar history. Whoever's idea it was to put a camera up in the rafters at the ceiling of the Dolby, to show that, and also during the Killers of the Flower Moon tribal song, where you get that vantage point. Brilliant. I mean, it gave us this Busby Berkeley kind of 1920s feel. It was just, I've watched it 4 more times since then, and I can watch it 20 more. It
My
was
only
just beautifully done.
My critique of that performance is probably the placement of it in the ceremony. It maybe should have opened the show, because the downer of it all is that they gave the award out right after that. So then they blew the roof off the auditorium, and then they're like, the winner is Billie Eilish
The
for
winner is
her
this widow jet
for her
this gentle
dreary,
little song.
depressing song that she sang like an hour earlier. And she's a very deserving winner. It's a beautiful song. But the placement of that category and then announcing the winner right after that exciting moment was kind of like, ugh.
Yeah, it brought everybody down. It was kind of a buzzkill thing.
I did love that. I wasn't watching the rehearsal footage, so I don't know if it was known that all of the other, Kens from the film would be back and participating in the number. It was so great. Like, Scott Evans, Shuti Gatwa, Kingsley Ben-Adir, Simu Liu. I loved that they all showed up. It was so game. It was such a lovely tribute to that film.
Yeah. Decades from now, people will watch this clip, on YouTube, wherever they watch these clips on, and they'll say, how did this not win the Oscar for Best Song? That'll be the great mystery decades from now. So hopefully we'll be around and we can kind of pipe in and offer some commentary, but that's what people will be asking, I think.
Well, the other big moment of the night, Emma Stone, Best Actress. I almost switched. I almost fell off. I think I was one of the last remaining that held on to Emma Stone winning the Oscar. And I said before the night started, I said, I have Poor Things winning 4 Oscars, and I'm either gonna, sink or swim with that, because all of those Oscars could have gone another way. They were all really sort of a coin flip. Poor Things could have lost Tech Awards to Barbie and Maestro, and Emma could have easily lost to Lily Gladstone, who was our odds-on frontrunner heading into the night. So that was another big moment. Some interesting trivia. She is the 5th Best Actress from Searchlight Pictures in 7 years. So keep that in your mind next year if there's a Best Actress contender from Searchlight Pictures. Thoughts on Best Actress? Anyone?
I had Emma all season long. Then, damn it, the SAG Awards, and there's Lily, and I'm like, well, of course it's going to be Lily. The whole Native American Indigenous actress narrative. It just seemed like a layup and a slam dunk. And then, but of course, then I thought, well, Emma's performance was no one's ever seen anything like that performance in a film that unique. So in hindsight, of course, it made total sense. But the cool thing too was if you saw Lily Gladstone being interviewed during, and I know we interviewed her too during award season, she just seemed so cool about the whole thing. Yeah, if I win, great. If I lose, great. She's on the map now and is going to have a great career because of the nomination. And losing this, I don't think hurts her.
Well, I think we've seen time and time again now that we sort of blow the narrative out of proportion. I mean, we definitely saw that with Chadwick Boseman a few years ago with that sort of horrific ending to the Oscars, no fault of Anthony Hopkins. But Tariq, you weren't going for the narrative. You just went with the other option, Sandra Huller.
Sure. I didn't think it would be Gladstone because we've seen the narrative fail. We thought Stallone was going to win because, how could they not, give Sylvester Stallone, an Oscar finally? And, he lost. We thought Glenn Close would win. She won the Globe, and when SAG tied a Critics' Choice, we thought she had it. But no, they voted for Olivia Colman, the favorite. And, of course, with Chadwick Boseman, he won both the Globe and SAG. So that Globe and SAG combo isn't always accurate the way it used to be. And I think that a lot of voters at SAG, SAG goes for the narrative, and SAG goes for diversity. And I think SAG voters, a lot of them didn't see Poor Things, which I did tell you. And also, a lot of SAG voters knew that Emma Stone had won, and they wanted to, honor somebody else. And they wanted to honor, a Native American, make history that way. So I think that's why Gladstone won at SAG. But Academy voters, they don't care so much about that. They're voting at the best work. And, Emma Stone, I mean, she was, her part was so challenging, and she was so astonishing. I mean, that's why she won so many of the awards throughout the season, namely at BAFTA. I was thinking at the very end that at the Oscars, there'd be one big shocker. 30 years ago at the Oscars, the year of Schindler's List, the big shocker was Anna Paquin, the piano. And I thought we'd have just one. And my sense was that it would be Best Actress. I was hearing a lot of votes for Sandra Huller. And, she lost at BAFTA, I think, because she was a double nominee and she split votes. And I thought that at the Oscars, with just one name on the ballot, if voters, they weren't wowed by Lily and they thought it was too soon to give Emma an Oscar, who could deny what a great year that Sandra Huller had with two Best Picture, performances and two Best Picture nominees, both Anatomy of a Fall and Zone of Interest. When the Zone of Interest won for Best Sound, I actually thought that Sandra was going to win because I thought, okay, clearly they love the Zone of Interest, and that's gonna be the big shocker. So I knew that Gladstone probably would lose, but I thought it might be to Sandra Huller. By the way, when Emma Stone won, her reaction was just priceless because she really was not expecting it, right? I mean, she really was overwhelmed and really was surprised, I think.
I don't know. She's a two-time Best Actress winner now, so I don't know how real her reaction was. Daniel, you have you remember all these stats a lot better than me typically. And one of the things I found interesting was that BAFTA was like 100%, which is very rare. In not just above the line, but below the line. So talk about like the moments for you for Best Actress and give us a little insight on BAFTA and how it compared to BAFTA last year, which was sort of a train wreck.
Yeah, BAFTA last year got they disagreed with SAG on all of the acting winners, and all of the acting winners from SAG ended up winning at the Oscars. This time they agreed on 3 out of 4 of the acting winners, so it's not surprising that those ended up winning the Oscars. But the one place where they disagreed, Emma versus Lily, it ended up going to Emma, and everything below the line ended up going the same way they went at BAFTA.
Except for visual effects.
Except for visual effects.
Where they were not the
but
same
if Poor Things had been nominated for visual effects at the Oscars, it would have won. It would have won.
Yeah.
I agree.
And the one parallel that had me worried about and had me wanting to switch to Emma, but I was too scared to make the change. And I think I would have regretted it more if I picked Emma and then Lily had won. Was the Denzel Washington Casey Affleck year, where Casey wins Globe, Casey wins Critics' Choice, Casey wins BAFTA, and then Denzel wins SAG. And that was the year that Denzel had never won a SAG award up to that point, that he won for Fences. So a lot of us were thinking that it would be Denzel. I thought it was going to be Denzel for a while, and then I realized what else besides Denzel, what else besides SAG has Denzel won? And it was really nothing else. Casey had really run the board the rest of that season, so I ended up predicting Casey Affleck, and Casey Affleck won. In this case, that was really the Emma Stone story, where Lily won at the Golden Globes, but she wasn't up against Emma at the Golden Globes, so that doesn't even really count. Emma beat her at Critics' Choice. Emma beat her at BAFTA. So like I really should have realized that SAG was going to be an isolated incident this year again. But I just ended up mainly because last year BAFTA whiffed it in terms of its predictive quality. I like it when they go their own way, but it's in terms of its use as a prediction tool, BAFTA didn't help us last year, and I thought it wouldn't help us this year either.
And one thing we haven't talked about for Best Actress is the screen time issue. Emma Stone was in virtually every scene of Poor Things, whereas Lily Stone was only in about a fourth of that movie. And I think that matters. I think when you're watching a movie, maybe you watched it after the nominations and you're saying, wait, Lily's in lead? Like she hasn't been in the last half hour of this movie. Why would I vote for her if she's not even in it? I do think that hurt her.
It's wild to think that Viola Davis was a supporting actress in Fences, and Lily Gladstone as a lead actress in Killers of the Flower Moon. I mean, didn't Viola Davis might have had more screen time than Denzel Washington in Fences? I can't remember, but I mean, she lived longer.
And it makes you wonder, though, what really would have happened if Lily had stayed in supporting. And
Davine
impacted Davine.
Davine maybe should have thanked Lily Gladstone in her acceptance.
Yeah. I honestly think Lily Gladstone, like the level of across the board sweep that we got for Davine Joy Randolph, it would have been Lily getting all of them. I really do think Lily would have run the board in supporting.
What do you think the motivation is behind that? Is it do you think actors just find it more prestigious to be nominated in a lead category than to have a probable win as a supporting? I mean, but a supporting actor is forever known as, Academy. Whoopi Goldberg's Oscar is a supporting actress. I mean, she'll be forever Academy Award winner, Whoopi Goldberg. Like,
and it doesn't matter.
Wouldn't you rather have that in front of your name?
It doesn't matter what category it is. If you win, you win. Nobody remembers if it was supporting versus lead. I think Lily got some sketchy advice from someone telling her to switch.
Okay, I heard Marcus mention.
Sorry.
I just heard Marcus quickly mention Wes Anderson. I want to talk about Wes Anderson. I mean, we talk, isn't it going to be a great moment if Wes Anderson finally wins his Oscar? And I mean, I didn't predict that. It was a bad move for me because it was the clear front runner, and then everyone was like, but it's going to be such an exciting moment to see him on stage, and then he doesn't show up. That was like, what's going on with that? Where was Wes Anderson, Tariq?
Oh, isn't he? There's an article about it on Gold Derby. Didn't he make some comments? Is he in Germany? Is that where he is? The article was posted.
They have jets in Germany.
It was almost a rhetorical question. Like, take a plane.
Right.
They have planes in Germany too.
Right, but it is too bad because this was his 8th nomination, his first win, and this is 10 years after the Grand Budapest Hotel, which was nominated for 9 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director for him, Best Original Screenplay, and that film was so beautiful, so charming. I think it should have won Best Picture, and it won 4 awards, Grand Budapest Hotel, in tech categories. But yeah, for Wes Anderson not to be there, all the people in the Academy who worked with him over the years, all the actors and other members of the tech branches, I mean, they would have been so thrilled to have him be there. I think that's one of the reasons why he won, because he had worked with so many members of the Academy, and they knew his work so well. So yeah, it really is unfortunate. A great moment that was missed by Anderson, being absent.
Well, supposedly he's also he doesn't like giving speeches and is shy about that, from what I've heard.
All right. I'll lay out.
Now he'll always be remembered as Oscar winner Wes Anderson. It doesn't matter it was for a short. Like we were just talking about supporting versus lead. It doesn't matter what you win the Oscar for. You're an Oscar winner.
Yeah. Riz Ahmed is an Oscar winner, and people probably think it's for Sound of Metal. Like nobody remembers like why he won an Oscar. Um, Oppenheimer finally sort of put the nail in the coffin like we expected it to do. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, and a slew of texts. It could have won more. It won a total of 7, so it only matched Everything Everywhere All at Once from last year, which is sort of surprising. Although it didn't really. It won where it was really expected to win. It lost sound, which we knew The Zone of Interest was a threat. It lost screenplay. We knew American Fiction was probably the front runner there. So a good night for Oppenheimer and a solid Best Picture that's will be one of the ones we remember the most, I think, for quite some time. There's a lot of years where like, what won Best Picture that year? But I think everyone will remember Oppenheimer. Any thoughts on the night for Oppenheimer?
Yeah, it won what it was expected to win and what it had to win, to be considered a sweep and a big blockbuster juggernaut at the Oscars. It was there was a little bit of a pro forma kind of predictability to everything, with Oppenheimer winning the 7 and Poor Things winning 4. Although I think there was some people still thought that Poor Things was going to get screwed because it was so polarizing and divisive. And 15 years before, that would have been a film that would have had to play in a Pussycat theater, based on all the sex. And I know Marcus was really into all the sex in the film and wanted more. But the fact that, no, in terms of Oppenheimer, I was glad it won what it had to win. And, Christopher Nolan, you could see just how thrilled, even though he's very muted in his emotion, he kept looking at the statue while he was giving his acceptance speech. And it was almost like he couldn't believe he was really standing there and it had really finally happened. So good on him. He deserved it.
Well, we had made all these comparisons to him and Steven Spielberg finally winning for Schindler's List, and that was really kind of a cool moment that Steven Spielberg handed him his Best Director Oscar.
And Christopher Nolan, he's probably one of the best directors working today that had never won an Oscar. So I'm so glad that he won 2. And by the way, I have our prediction center open. I just want to give credit to Orphan Tears got 100%, and Question Mark 64 got 100%. 2 people out of 11,000 at Gold Derby got all 23 categories. So
Orphan Tears sounds ruthless, and that's probably why they're a winner.
Yeah, because then you said there was a near zero chance of anyone getting a perfect score, and so it was near zero, but not zero. Clearly,
2 people, yeah,
close to 0. Yes,
good for them.
If I hadn't switched 3 of my votes at the last minute, I would have been the new Nikki Novak.
Last minute switches are always a bad idea. I almost switched to Stone at the last minute, and then I almost switched to Henry Sugar, and then that just would have canceled myself out. So you got to be careful with those last minute switches. I was gonna say that Spielberg maybe should have stuck around to also hand out Best Picture, because Al Pacino really
what the hell happened?
left that one out. Like, what was going on with that? Any comments for Pacino?
It was the most anticlimactic thing I've ever seen. And, he seemed like he was like deep in a conversation with some people, and somebody tapped him on the shoulder and said, no, you got to get up there and give this out. And he's like, okay, fine. All right, Oppenheimer. And then he went back to his conversation. I don't know. It seemed a little compromised in some way.
I like having legacy performers and figures in the industry give away the top awards. It feels very fitting to the grandeur of Best Director and Best Picture. But sometimes they just need a minder, like have him present with like another someone else maybe a little younger. And
Messi the dog was right there. Why didn't Messi help Al Pacino?
Messi was in one of the nominated films. That's clearly a conflict of interest.
Well, was Michelle Pfeiffer supposed to be with him? I thought she was on the presenter list, and then it's like and she just wasn't there. I don't know what happened, but I thought Michelle Pfeiffer was going to present with Al Pacino.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's interesting too. Annette Bening is there, and Warren Beatty was not. and you wonder, is he okay? What's going on with Lauren?
He's
No, I think
probably,
he wanted to watch Reds one more time, so he
I think
stayed at home.
he's still embarrassed. He probably never wants to see Emma Stone again after announcing La La Land for Best Picture.
That's it.
That was a good Jimmy Kimmel joke too, when specifically Emma Stone wins, and then he's like, maybe shred that envelope so we don't get it mixed up later.
By the way, Pacino presenting Solo, that is dangerous, because what if he had made a mistake and misread something? For example, 2 years ago, when they had Liza Minnelli come out to present Best Picture, Lady Gaga was with her and was able to help her and read the name.
That's
so
right. You need the binder.
Exactly. It wasn't a smart move to have something like Pacino come out alone. For a second, actually, I thought they could have De Niro come out with him, because he, of course, won Best Supporting Actor for The Godfather Part 2. But he, of course, one of his films, Killers of the Flower Moon, was nominated. But everyone knew it wasn't going to win, so it wouldn't have mattered. So maybe that would have been good. But yeah, really, a younger presenter with Pacino would have been a really smart move, just to be on the safe side.
Well,
Did
even
we
after
like
he
that-
announced it, people were a little like, because he said, "My eyes see Oppenheimer," and they're like, "Well, it's great that
Does
your
the
eyes see
envelope
that,
say
but what does
Oppenheimer?"
the envelope actually say in there?"
Did you see? I liked the gambit of having the winners reading. Giving the little salutes to every nominee. I think it worked pretty well. But did you see when Tim Robbins screwed up and accidentally called him Oscar winning instead of nominated when he was talking about De Niro? And
Yeah.
they flashed on De Niro.
And you could
De
see
Niro
on
was
De Niro's
not
face.
amused.
Yeah, and you could see on his face, he knew he was losing to, like, if
Right.
he's
And
paying
he
any
looked like
attention,
he
he knew
wanted
he
to
was losing
kill
to
Tim
Robert Downey
Robbins. I'm
Jr.
just like,
You're right.
chill out, dude.
Yeah, Robert De Niro looked like he didn't want to be there.
Oh my God. For sure.
We haven't talked about John Mulaney. I mean, he's getting a lot of love online for his little spiel that he did, and people are
It was
saying
pretty-
he should
it was
maybe
pretty
try
funny.
hosting next year.
Yeah.
I think if he was auditioning for it, was he passed the audition pretty well.
Yeah. And he hosted the honorary awards a month ago, and he did really well from the clips I saw.
Yeah.
He would be a great host.
Although I thought that as long as it's on ABC, that they're going to go with Kimmel because he's the home team, but maybe not. I can see them go. Maybe what about both of them?
I don't know if Kimmel would go down to sharing a hosting gig.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh well. By the way,
what about he would host it with Tariq? Tariq would
exactly. We make it right. Oh, by the way, did you notice when they had the returning the 5 returning winners present? Only one group got a standing ovation, right? The Best Actress winners got a standing ovation, and I wonder if the other presenters, when they came out, they were expecting one and were disappointed that they weren't greeted with a standing ovation. Anyone kind of pick up on that? Because I know that
would you be? Would you be? I don't think I would care. I would just be like.
At the 2009 ceremony, they gave standing ovations to 3 out of the 4 groups. Everyone except for the Best Supporting Actor team, those 5, they did not get a standing ovation, but the other 3 did. So this year, the fact that one group got the standing ovation, the other 3 did not. I just wonder if any of them noticed afterwards and were miffed by it. Because here, there's 5 big Oscar winners on stage, everyone's clapping, but no one's standing up. I mean, they gave Jimmy Kimmel a partial standing ovation, so surely for 5 Oscar winners, they could get at least a partial standing ovation.
I think the standing ovation was just for Jessica Lange, and the other 4 just happened to be there.
Oh, not Jennifer Lawrence.
I stood in my house, but nobody cared.
I did jump up and down when I got Best Makeup right, because that makeup and hair, that was one that I was really going back and forth. Maestro, Poor Things, Maestro, Poor Things. I ultimately decided on Poor Things, so I was happy for myself.
Yeah, there was no just giant upset that was like something we had picked 4th or 5th that won.
Nothing.
Yeah,
there was second place in our odds one.
Yeah, last year we had a big one. It was production design for All Quiet on the Western Front was in 4th place. Nothing like that this year.
Exactly. Yeah, it's funny. I thought the place where we might see a big tech upset was visual effects. Because, again, I was thinking the stats worked against Godzilla -1. And if you think about it, the fact that films like all three Planet of the Apes. The Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, War for the Planet of the Apes. They all lost for visual effects. They were all the only nominees. The Avengers, the first one, Avengers, Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, they all lost visual effects. The only nominations for those films. So the fact that a Godzilla -1, a Japanese Godzilla remake, could win an Oscar for visual effects on a solo nomination, I guess though this year the field was pretty weak. So there were voters who really did like it, and there was a lot of talk about how they did so much on a low budget, and also I think maybe the international block. I mean, the chance to honor a Japanese film for visual effects, so maybe that played in. That's the place where I thought we could see a tech surprise, but no, Godzilla -1 was the odds-on favorite, and it stomped and crushed the competition. Don't bet against Godzilla. We've learned that.
It was so cute. They all had their little Godzilla toys, statues with them up on stage. And I think that's a perfect example of a passion choice. Like people that
Sure.
watched that movie absolutely loved it. And so I think that definitely helps.
I do think if Poor Things would have been nominated, it would have won like it did at BAFTA. I think I think the challenge for Poor Things, and we've talked about this, was getting nominated, and it couldn't get in. But we knew if it got in, it would probably win because they will generally pick a Best Picture nominee if it's in that category. And there's usually only one, maybe two. Like it's rare to have multiple visual effects because they don't go for big blockbusters for Best Picture usually. So I do think Poor Things would have won if they got in.
Yeah. Hey, Dan, it's funny. When I was actually polling some Oscar voters about visual effects, you know what name kept popping up over and over? Oppenheimer. I don't remember. I think I voted for Oppenheimer, and I have to remind them, Oppenheimer wasn't nominated. It's like,
Oh, that's funny.
So I think actually a lot of voters abstained in visual effects, and other ones I think must have saw Godzilla and just it was the biggest one. So, and yet, Marcus, you said it had the passion votes. There were people who really did love it, so it won. But it's funny how many people actually mentioned Oppenheimer for visual effects.
It's also important to remember that a lot of Oscar voters do not vote for every category. Like there is some people with some credibility where they're like, if they don't feel comfortable and they don't know, they won't vote. And I think that's good on them to just not sort of like throw a vote away if you don't feel like you're making a qualified choice or if you haven't seen all the nominees.
Anybody have specific opinions about the acceptance speeches? I actually think one of the more underappreciated ones was Cord Jefferson.
Yeah, sure.
That was, he's a former journalist and talking about, how many people passed on the movie and, hoping that instead of having $200 million movie, that there would be, 20 $10 million movies or $54 million. I mean, that actually, the point on that was really well taken. And I thought, good on him for using his position on the stage to really advocate for.
I loved when he talked about that. It reminded me of a game I used to play watching the Super Bowl, just like online. I would, because they would always report how much a 30-second ad costs on the Super Bowl. And so I would like look up, budgets for certain films, and I'd be like, for like 45 seconds of a Super Bowl ad, you could have financed Winter's Bone or something like that. Like the amount of money that gets spent, and for us not to have these mid-budget or lower budget films be as widely embraced, I really loved him bringing that.
I think of the four acting winners, Emma obviously gave the best speech, the most heartfelt, and I love how she mentioned each of the nominees. That's always a favorite thing that I look for. Dave Vine's speech was really good. I kind of feel like the guys were a little forgettable. I mean, are we going to be talking about Cillian Murphy's speech in a month?
I thought Robert Downey's was great too, though.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank my terrible childhood and the Academy in that order. That's pretty great. And shout out to his wife, of course, because of course, without his wife, he would have been probably dead 20 years ago. I just thought he was incredibly cool. And you just feel like he would be a fun guy to hang out with based on how he carries himself.
Oh, he questioned when Michelle Yeoh opened the Best Actress envelope. She paused for a second, before she did Emma Stone. Who do you think Michelle Yeoh voted for? Because I think she voted for either Sandra Hüller or Lily Gladstone. I don't think she voted for Emma Stone. I think she was rooting for one of
I
the
don't
others.
think Emma Stone voted for Emma Stone, honestly.
Probably
I
not,
think
you're
she
right.
voted for Lily.
Yeah. So who you think Michelle Yeoh voted for Lily Gladstone?
Probably.
Maybe. Like, I don't know. It's hard to guess what someone's specific taste in a specific category is.
You know, she gave the Michelle Yeoh. She introduced Sandra Huller, so I thought maybe she might have, voted for her, but I didn't think she voted for Emma Stone. So I was curious. By the way, who did Margot Robbie vote for Best Actress? I don't think Emma Stone, because I think she knew Emma Stone. I think Margot Robbie. She produced. She was a co-producer on Promising Young Woman, right? So I'm guessing Margot Robbie voted for Carey Mulligan for Best Actress. If I had to guess, but definitely not Emma Stone. Yeah, we need to.
I wonder. I was wondering when they were presenting those, if they like all got in a huddle and were, like said, I would like to speak about this person if I could, or if they were just assigned.
It felt like, I think they were assigned, but felt like it all, each one they spoke of sort of made sense.
The only
mean,
thing I
I
didn't
think-
like when they were doing that is like, I like a couple of them were like, you're a great actor, but you're an even better person. It's like, are they like, are you friends? Do you really know? Like, I hate stuff like that.
Yeah. Some of them felt a little phony, but I really like the Ki Hai Kwan to Sterling K. Brown. I mean, Sterling is just absolutely great, and whatever he is, even when he's sitting there hearing good things about himself, like he's just such a great person.
Can I just make a comment about that? Firstly, I was not a big fan of seeing those former winners, talk about a current nominee. I like the traditional format where you see, one presenter come out and they play a clip of each of the nominees, because a lot of the people watching at home haven't seen the nominated performances or films. And so rather than hear, for example, Regina King talk about how great Danielle Brooks is, let's play a clip showing people how great Danielle Brooks is in The Color Purple, So to me, that would have more impact. I mean, seeing a clip of that performance would mean more than seeing somebody talk about how great the performance is. So just my take.
With
Maybe a
the
hybrid.
Oscar. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe a hybrid of those methods would work best. That might be worth experimenting with, where you get like maybe a clip package of former winners in that category, talk about a performance for like, a few seconds, and a piece, like get a few snippets, pre-recorded, and then run a clip of the actual performance.
Or they could show do a QR code. If you want to see a clip of this performance, put your phone right here.
The worst clips were for best sound. It was like 35 seconds of nothing but boom, 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 boom. Like every movie sounded the same. Like they just played explosions for the entire thing.
I didn't like how they did best film editing. I think, was that Arnold Schwarzenegger?
It was it felt like kind of a throwaway.
And behind them, there was like 5 strips, and it's like, here's a strip of the holdovers, here's a strip of Oppenheimer, and it's like
things that they don't even have anymore, film strips, which don't exist.
Yeah, it was weird. It was a weird choice.
Well, I don't know. Any final thoughts? I really want to like tie a bow on this and put it to bed. Like Oscars 2024, it's been great. I would like to wish you a fond farewell. I am exhausted
Take
from
it to the
talking
Glue
about these
Factory.
movies.
Yeah. Hey, just one note, if I may, that really this year's Oscars, we saw really, the British, and the international influence, really a lot of the choices, where they went with Poor Things, for example, and all those tech categories over Barbie. They went with, I think, The Boy and the Heron over Spider-Man, and they went with Emma Stone over Lily Gladstone. So I think in the future, when in doubt, we need to really keep in mind the influence of the international bloc, both the British, which they've always been there, and also the other international members from across the globe, because they maybe this year showed their influence in a lot of those categories. And in fact, even with, let's say, The Last Repair Shop winning for Best Documentary Short Subject, perhaps the ABC's book banning, maybe to a lot of international voters, the subject didn't mean as much. So perhaps that. And also, wonderful story of Henry Sugar beating Red, White, and Blue, which was a very, political, very, I think, American story. Henry Sugar had more appeal to international voters. So just something to keep in mind next year, those international voters and snob appeal. That's always going to be, that could be the time.
Not a lot of politics in this ceremony at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A little.
I'm really happy that Oppenheimer won, because it's a movie people saw, people loved. I think this is the biggest blockbuster Best Picture since The Lord of the Rings. Is that right?
No, actually, no, Madeline. Just kidding.
And Barbie, Barbie
Coda.
goes home with 1 award. Barbie is now an Oscar-winning movie. So Barbenheimer both succeed yesterday.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I was really happy with Oppenheimer doing as well as it did. It was very expected. Like this wasn't one of your like, oh, 3, 4 movies could win Best Picture kind of years. But it all coalesced around a really good film. It was my favorite of the nominees. I wasn't like super passionately devoted to most of the nominees for Best Picture this year, as it just happens to be every few years. It's like you don't really connect to them. But Oppenheimer, I really connected with, so I'm really happy for it. And Christopher Nolan, who I think is one of my favorite filmmakers currently working, so it's a worthy win, even though I'll maybe in the back of my head pretend it's for Interstellar.
I'm
Yeah.
really thrilled to see the way Poor Things performed. It's such a unique and daring film, and absolutely not a slam dunk that it would resonate with enough people in the Academy to win four Academy Awards. So I think uh, it really inspires other directors to go and writers to go out on a whim and make product like that really pushes the envelope.
Well, let's wrap this up. I mean, let's say farewell to 2024. You can go see Dune 2 now and get ready for 2025. Tech categories down the line. That might be, I think the first year that Dune was in it, I think they just won everything. There was one of the years where like we had no 100%, and then all of a sudden we had like 20 people get 100% because Dune won almost everything below the line. So maybe that'll happen next year. We'll see. We will see what movies are to come. But we're also getting into Emmys, and the nominees will be coming out this spring. So on to the next thing. It was a great year for film, though. I will say that. And congratulations to Oppenheimer and all the other winners. And to Tariq, Ray, Daniel, and Marcus, thanks once again. And until next year.